Hi, and thank you for joining me for another process video and another day in Scraptember 2024, a series set for us by the Scrappy Sisters and Laura Alberts, and they give us a prompt every day. Today's prompt is to use fussy cutting. So as soon as I saw that prompt, I thought of all the beautiful florals that I'd fussy cut from Discover and Create, Vicki Boutin's collection, when I first got it. So that's what I'm going to use. So this is a photo of Amelia outside the Sky Garden in London. We've been there before we went to see Billy Joel in concert in Hyde Park last year. And I just got a quick snap of her before we got the tube over to Hyde Park. So I wanted to get this documented and into her album. So I've just pulled out 4 papers and I'm cutting strips approximately 2 inches. Some of them are slightly wider, but approximately 2 inches wide or deep as the way I'm putting them on the layout, and then at varying widths across the layout. So you can see the papers I've chosen are relatively neutral with the blue lean because Amelia's got that gorgeous blue dress on. And this is where I start struggling. I don't know why, but I really struggled on where to put the different strips. I think because that blue is so very blue compared to the rest of the strips. That's what confused me. But when the layout's finished, it looks gorgeous. So I'm really happy that I did stick with it. So I'm just matting the photo onto this lovely hexagon neutral. It's from the 6x8 paper pad, and just trimming the edges down. And that's going to sit on those strips. So I'm going to distress all of the edges using my Tim Holtz edge distresser. Look, I'm still messing with those strips. I wondered whether I should use the reverse of that one for a little bit. But first of all, I wanted to add some mixed media to the background. So I grabbed one of the stencils. I've not even used this stencil yet. It was brand new out of the packet. And I've got antique linen and chipped sapphire as my inks. And I'm just going to add a few of these florals to the top and bottom. So I'm starting with the lightest ink, the antique linen, and just adding a few florals there. And then I want to add these overlapping the antique linen ones in the chipped sapphire. So I'm just positioning the stencil carefully so that this overlaps. Now I did off camera wipe the stencil down in between because I didn't want the yellow to mix with the blue and give me a green. I definitely wanted blue as my second layer. So just watch that if you're going to use the same stencil twice. And I really like, I don't like uniformity too much in my layouts. If you've watched me for a while, you've probably seen that. So having the 2 different layers means that you don't get the uniformity of the stencil that you normally would, and I really like that effect. So I did all the stenciling. Now, as I say, I'm going to distress all the edges of all these pieces, starting with the photo mat and then going on to all the strips. I won't make you watch it all because it's pretty boring. And then when I've done that, I decide I want to add some splatters to the background. So I just come back in with the chipped sapphire, add a little bit of water, and then use my large paintbrush just to flick that over the stenciled areas, and then I'll leave that to dry. And the reason that I've only added the stenciling top and bottom is because those strips are going to sit here, so there was no point in wasting time creating a huge mixed media background just to cover it up. So I'm now positioning these strips, once again struggling a little bit, but I do sort it out, and then I'm going to glue them down very lightly with my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive because I do want to run this through the sewing machine. So that's how it's going to sit. So just, as I say, just a light bead of glue behind. I don't want to use my ATG because the adhesive on any kind of double-sided tape will gunk up my sewing machine. It's quite a nice sewing machine, so I definitely don't want to do that. So just being careful and using a little bit of Nouveau and trying to put it in the centre, which is where I'm pretty sure it won't be stitching. So there we go, that's how they all sit, just moving that one. And here it is with the stitching on, you can see, and I've just left the threads running free at either end of the stitching. So I'm going to mount the photo onto foam pads. It was really bumpy when I put it down on top of those strips because of all the distressing and things, so I decided it best to raise it up onto foam pads. And then I'll stick that down, and then I can bring in my florals. So here they all are. It's 2 different papers that I just spent an evening fussy cutting. I do decide that I'm just going to stick with the black and white florals. These are gorgeous because you can colour them with watercolours or acrylics or whatever, but I've decided just to stick with them as black and white and then accent with some blue, which you'll see shortly. So I'm just adding foam pads behind that huge piece there, which is going to be the centrepiece really for my other bits going around it. And you can see I'm just playing with some of the coloured florals from a different paper, but decide to settle on the black and white ones here. So just gluing this one flat to the page. I want some on foam and some flat, just so that it provides really nice dimension and shadowing. So bring in this double one and decide not to use it and just discard it at the top of the layout. But you'll see in a minute I decide that I do actually want to add that as another cluster at the top, and that works really nicely on here. So I brought in another little daisy piece there and added that under the photo. And then I've got some of these leaf pieces. They must have just been on the edges of the paper, and I just cut those out as well. So tucking things in and building up this cluster nicely. And while I'm doing that, please don't forget to check the description box down below to see the playlist of everybody joining in on this hop. It really is a wonderful month-long hop, and you get so much inspiration from that playlist. People are adding daily. I haven't got time this September to do every day, but I'm doing at least my Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday videos, and possibly some more in between. If I find I have a bit of time, we'll see what happens. So this is the branding strip from one of those papers that I cut previously. I think it's that green stripy paper, and I just thought that would be really nice as an additional layer off to the right of the photo. So I'm just going to add that in there. Almost creates like a shelf for everything to sit on. And then just seeing which other florals I can add. Just wanted something else at the top there. So this one's going to go on foam again, just to provide that lovely shadowing. And it really finishes that bit off nicely. Well, it's not finished, but you know, the floral, the floral part of it. So there we go, popping that on there. And I just love how these black and white florals look on here. So I'm bringing in the puffy phrases from Vicki Boutin's Discover and Create now. And I find today was, and then epic. So I'm going to add that in because it really was such a wonderful day. So just looking for the dot now for the eye. And that's my title. So now I open up the sticker book, but then remember I want to fussy cut one of the butterflies from this paper. So I'm just cutting out one of the blue butterflies to add to that floral cluster in the bottom left-hand corner. So I'll do that off camera. You don't need to watch me doing that. It's quite painful. And that's why I tend to do it while I'm watching the telly, because it gives my hands something to do. So I'm going to add foam pads to the two wings and then some wet glue to the body, and just nestle that in underneath that big daisy in amongst all the other pieces there. And that really makes the layout pop. It brings that blue over to the left-hand side, and I'm thrilled with how that looks. So now going back to the sticker sheet, and I'm going to bring that blue up to the top. So I've got it in 3 places now on the layout. And that's going to hold my date. I'll just use my roller date stamp to add the date to that. And then I'm going back to the puffy stickers just to add a couple sprinkly bits. There were some little puffy hearts and some little puffy dots in the blues again, which I thought would look nice. And then here's the date, my roller date stamp. It's going straight onto that sticker at the top there. And then I'm going to add my journaling here at the bottom, and it just says what we were doing that day. So now into the 6x12 sticker sheet, and I find this piece that says these stories, and that's bringing that turquoise blue or duck egg blue down from the top to the bottom, so I thought that would work nicely there. Just looking to see what else there is, and there are 2 birds, one looking one way and one looking the other. So I decided to add one to the title there, and then the other one up into that cluster at the top. And I really like those. And then I spot this that just says love this, and I have to have that on a picture of Amelia. So just adding some foam again to those birds, just to the top of the sticker, and then glue to the bottom just to keep them in place. I find that these 6x12 stickers, no matter the manufacturer, don't stick terribly well. So I tend to add my own glue now as well. So the last touch is to add some gold splatters, and then that's the layout done. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope I've provided some inspiration here, and I shall see you again very soon. Bye.